I wasn't gonna kill you, but I'm going to now.
All right, so Gregory, do you prefer Gregory or Greg?
Greg, absolutely.
Right.
I go with the full name because there was another guy named Greg Cummins or Gregory Cummins.
Okay.
So I did the Gregory Scott Cummins just because there was somebody registered with SAG with that name already. And but yeah, it's Greg, just Greg.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions.
Or Mr. Good Looking.
Mr. Good Looking.
Either one.
Mr. Good.
Yeah. But just say Greg for now because
Okay.
I don't
All right,
want to
so
drive everybody.
Bill touched a little bit on Hack-O-Lantern.
Yeah.
Right. So you already talked about Hack-O-Lantern a little bit. I just want, so that's how I dug down into the Gregory Scott Cummins catalog. Is I saw Hack-O-Lantern on the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs. And,
You sat through the whole movie.
I sat through the whole movie. And so then I was like, wow, I've seen that guy on Always Sunny. I've seen him on different things, you know? And then I went down your catalog, and I have to say, most of the, like, even those, like, you said Hack-O-Lantern was, piece of shit, basically.
There were producers there that I did an interview for it. I didn't say it quite that way, but they're not going to be happy with me saying that. But what can I say?
But
Yeah.
everything that you've been in that I've seen, it makes it better. Your character, and it might be mostly because of how good looking you are, but
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's the only reason I watched any of it.
Greg, he's a legit fan. When he came to me, he's like, "Have you ever seen?" Because I've seen a lot of the movies that most people haven't.
Well,
he's younger than I. He's getting caught up. He goes, "You got to see this Hack-O-Lantern. You got to." What was the other one he introduced me to?
Blood Games.
Loved it. Blood Games. He's like, "You got to see this Blood
Oh! We shot that up in the California Sequoias. Another low-budget independent film. Yeah, I shouldn't say. I wasn't union then, so it was not union. And it was just pretty not as bad as Hack-O-Lantern.
I own Blood Games on Blu-ray.
You actually spent money on it, and see, you're one of these crazy people that likes the campy 80s low budget B movies. That's because that's what those are. They're about as low budget campy as you could get. But yeah, well, what can I say? I had to work my way up somewhere. And
so we won't talk too much more about Hack-O-Lantern, but I have to ask, did you have any musical background at all? How did you get involved with the scene with DC LaCroix, the band?
I used to play the guitar and sing 60s songs at Cal and in Waikiki in Hawaii. When I was out there one summer, I'd be there with the guitar and playing songs, but I don't play lead guitar, and that whole thing I was just that was shot for the movie, the dream sequence, and I was just pretending to play the guitar on that one. I wasn't playing. Yeah,
incredible. Another movie I would like to talk about before we get into the fan questions.
Yeah,
is what can you tell us about Caged Fury?
Oh my God,
that's a movie with Eric Estrada, Michael Parks, you, and a ton of porn stars.
And I didn't know that at the time. I had heard maybe that it turned it into, one of those porn movies later, but they hired me. I shot all my stuff in 4 days, and they hired me. That also was in non-union before I became union. and I didn't know. There were just a lot of very pretty girls in it, and I played a really scary psycho guard who was just taking advantage of them like crazy, and I was a really, really scummy bad guy. Well, I know the guys who produced it, actually, there's some Israeli film producers, and but you know what? The girl who played the female lead, I stayed friends with her all these years. So Roxanne, it was Michaels then. She's going by a different name now. I didn't know. It was just a job I got hired for, and I did it. But, again, it's one of those things you can't always, pick your jobs. It's just you just act in something and get paid for it.
Right.
It's, it was fun playing a bad guy. I didn't get involved in any, nudity or anything like that, stuff like that. So, we kind of simulated, some rape scenes, but we didn't really do anything other than, me kind of going off and pretending, but clothes were on and all that stuff. I was just like really mean and scary, so I must admit, I was so scary on that film. I had some makeup and hair people that actually wouldn't come near me to do my makeup. They said, I don't want to go. Yeah, they were like a couple different makeup artists, and some of them, and they really thought like I was like that in real life, so I with this, the eyes popping and the slick back hair. And
so
and
are you one of the guys?
I was just very, very quiet and low key.
Are you a character who's, when you're on set, are you in character?
Yeah, most of the time, but not all the time. Depends on the character. I wasn't in that character, but just because I wasn't my normal boisterous self and they didn't know me that long, they just didn't want to get near me. They just thought, because people in life, they see you do a bad guy character, play a psycho or somebody really scary or dangerous who does some bad things. And honestly, they think, well, in real life, they go, maybe the guy's really like that. Or they think, well, he must have some of that in him, so maybe I don't want to get to know this person too well. Right. It's kind of like saying they don't know what acting's about.
Right.
So most of those people, they're not actors. They haven't trained in acting. They don't understand how you can find a piece of yourself and find some justification to play this very dark, sinister, or evil character. Justify it in your own mind, and you might change the mannerisms and the way you speak and this and that and become something different than you are. But it's just, it's play acting like when you were a kid. It's just you learn how to just get better at it, so people really believe you're like that. I used to have classes where I put somebody out there, like take somebody you really love, like your younger brother or your mother or something, and then imagine somebody killing her. And then you do a scene with someone, and then you imagine they just killed someone you love. You just put it in your mind. But then if you really want to get scary and you really want to get sadistic, then you imagine, well, they didn't just kill my mom, but they tortured her slowly. And they cut her toes off and fingers off one by one, and she suffered greatly before she died. And then all of a sudden, then your character doesn't want to just kill somebody, but he wants to enjoy it a little bit and savor it and really make them suffer, And so you play these games in your mind. So you're justified in your mind. Other people don't know what you're thinking. So you come across like, holy crap, this guy is sick, But in your mind as an actor, that's what we do as actors, is we create scenarios that allow us to do things that, we obviously don't do in real life. But, yeah. So that's the kind of character that was in Caged Fury.
Caged Fury is a movie. It's available on Amazon Prime, and I downloaded it. I fly for work multiple times a week, and I started watching it on the plane, and I was like, I better not watch. I better not let anybody else see me watching this on a plane.
Oh, it didn't show on a plane.
No.
Kind of movie. Yeah, no. Yeah. So you took it privately. Yeah. It's a dark movie and low budget, and it's got the bad acting that goes with it, and all that stuff. But could you shoot it fast and quick, and you just do the best you can.
Couldn't you imagine you're on a Delta flight and they say, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's movie is going to be Caged Fury." Holy shit. What would happen in that plane?
No. In fact, the first movie that I did that didn't have a lot of swear words in it, that actually aired on planes was, actually Cliffhanger. I think there was a little language in Cliffhanger that they edited out. But then also another movie called Last of the Dogmen. I was only in the first 20 minutes of it, directed by Tab Murphy, a great writer who wrote Gorillas in the Mist. I don't know if you know that. And he's a writer, and he directed Last of the Dogmen. That's another one of the great films that I did. I wasn't on it long enough to really be involved with the entire shooting of the production, but everybody was so great. That was another Canadian Rockies we shot in the mountains in Mexico. It was incredible, but it's a movie called Last of the Dogmen. And that was... that's
actually on my list here to ask you about.
That was showing on an airplane. Yeah, and I really enjoyed that. And I'm still very close with Tab, and he just a wonderful guy. Everybody on that show. See, that was another great set I was on. And we were in the mountains of Cuernavaca, up in the mountains outside of Mexico City. And then we moved, and there was a delay. And then we shot in the Canadian Rockies up by Canmore and Banff and Lake Louise. And oh, my God, it was beautiful. And just the crew was great. It was just a wonderful adventure. Yeah, so it was just a great thing to be part of. But, when you're sitting on a plane, you see it in it's kind of cool. It's like, and then your scenes comes up, and you just kind of look around. You just, Yeah, I missed the premiere of Cliffhanger, so I remember going and seeing it in a movie theater, and then it showed on a plane too. And I just kind of slipped in the back, and you don't go to just say, "Hey, that's me," But I was with somebody who jumped up and say, "That's my friend," and then I stopped doing that. But then you go with a hat on, and you just kind of. It's kind of fun when you see yourself up on screen and you're in a big blockbuster and you're kind of cringing because you don't know how it's going to come out. You haven't seen it before. Even with a screening, you don't know, am I going to be horrible? You don't know. But
yeah. So you mentioned you got into acting to be an actor just because of acting. Because you love it so much. And it's weird. Like we talked to other people and they got into acting because they want to be Tom Cruise, or they want to be, whoever's Mr. Famous,
Yeah, no. I got into acting basically because I had to do something that I enjoyed doing, that I was passionate about. After sports was over at 25, I planned on being a pro baseball or football player until I was 38 or 40. And when that didn't quite work out, after a couple of years after college, then I searched around, and then I had done acting through school, but I enjoyed being on the football team at Cal and being the punter my freshman and sophomore year, redshirted my junior year. But I took acting classes because I enjoyed acting because I did it in junior high, and I had some success at it. I had a little gift for it. And then I just started doing it and taking classes and doing plays. And then I transferred to the University of Hawaii and then had some classes with a great teacher there who was Laurence Olivier's understudy at the Royal Shakespeare Company for 15 years and a closest friend, and Terrence Knapp. He passed away. But I started getting leads on main stage productions and doing Shakespeare and all that stuff. And I was playing football in Hawaii too, but I liked the camaraderie of people sharing their emotions and because when you're playing in sports, you don't, it's a macho thing. It's, it's a team sport. I enjoy the team atmosphere of sports, and a great bond you get with people. But I had that with the acting, but in a different way. I was able to be closer to people in a way because you're sharing emotions, you're crying, you're doing emotional scenes, and you develop a camaraderie. And that's why I love theater and then doing professional theater. And then I went to the master's acting program when the sports ended at 25 So I went at 27 to 29. I did the Masters in Acting at UCLA. Become very close with the people that you're working with for 2 years. And then you're close with your plays. You rehearse for a month and then you run it for a period of time. And you're just really close. You bond with people. So I loved doing that. It was the only other thing that I really loved other than sport was acting in college. I was very unhappy. I was very successful in sales and did other jobs and did a lot of menial labor jobs and stuff and waiting jobs. But I was very successful selling insurance, but I wasn't happy. And then I said, well, I'm going to go and study. If I'm going to be a professional actor, I better go study and not just do it for fun, but really take it seriously. And I got some good method training, which got me to, work out from the inside out, be honest all the time. And because the classical theater is kind of working from the outside in. At least that was my training. And so I felt more capable of getting into the business. And then but the business to me is if I was in a theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico, making $400 a week for the rest of my life, I made that was going to make me happy because, my mom taught me a long time ago. She had to work 100-hour weeks for 25 years because my dad got cancer and he didn't die when I was 6 years old, but he was disabled the rest of his life. They didn't know how to treat cancer then, and he was completely destroyed. So she raised 4 boys on her own and did something she didn't like a lot of years, 25 years. She worked 100-hour weeks, 7 days a week, took 1 week off a year, and she killed herself. And so when it came to me, she just, she was very supportive. My dad didn't understand it, but, she said, do something you enjoy. Life is short. If you can make a living off something that you have a passion for, then you're greatly blessed. It's not about money. And I didn't get in it to be famous or to make a fortune or whatever. I just wanted to make a living off of something that I enjoyed doing. And that was my goal. And once I realized in theater that although I can sing a little bit, but I'm not like a singer, that 75% of the theater in repertory theaters around the country or community theaters, whatever, are musicals and Broadway and all that you better know how to sing if you want to make a living year round. Doing straight plays, whether they're comedy or dramas, and non-musical plays is what I call straight plays. Then I had to come back to film, and I did. And I came back to LA, and I started working in the non-union films and working my way up. And just going to these auditions through the Drama Log, which was a magazine that had auditions for non-union films, and then you start to get film on yourself and work your way up. And eventually I got my first union film, smaller roles, lead roles in the low budget independent films. But then once I got in the union stuff, the better stuff, I had to kind of work my way up in that too. And then you start and then finally making a living. And that happened pretty quickly for me though. I did like 8 films in like a year and a half,
Wow.
this low budget films. And then I started, getting union and then I started playing bad guys because of my height. And I couldn't get sidekick roles on running series for many, many years. So I didn't do it to become famous or rich. I did it because I enjoyed doing it. And the camaraderie of the people that I work with is really the important thing to me. I mean, you want to do a good job. You want people to appreciate your work. You want to do as well as you can and be successful, but my goal was always to make a living. And I've appreciated the career because it's the bonding with people that I've worked with that is the whole reason why it means a lot to me. It's not just the work. It's working with a group of people to create a product, a show that's good, right. Whether it's theater, on stage, or whatever. It was the same thing with sports. We practice, we work as a group, you do your job, but then everybody's got a job and you work as a team, whether it's football or baseball or basketball. And then you have this camaraderie you develop, this bond, that you can't really get with anything else except maybe wartime, but that's a whole other thing. But it's this bond that's created, and that's what got me into it. That's why I enjoyed it, and that's why I wanted to do it professionally when the sports ended. So that was my goal. Yeah.
All right.
And luckily for 36 years, I've been able to I call myself a blue collar actor. I'm not rich. I'm not famous, like the big movie stars. Otherwise, I'd be rich. But I've managed to make a living all these years. And that to me was always my goal. If anything else had happened beyond that, that would be fine. But that was always my goal, so.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Now we're going to get into some fan questions here.
Okay.
From Reddit, from the Always Sunny in Philadelphia Reddit page.
Yes.
The question is from Are You Not Alone? I'd like to know, is there any particular scene or line in Always Sunny that you particularly had difficulty getting through because it was just too funny? Basically, were there any lines that broke you?
Yes, but not my lines. Their lines. Okay. It's really hard. You learn as an actor, you stay concentrated. Okay. And when you break up, you can't do it on stage. You have to, if it's funny, you still have to keep a straight face. But when you're going through rehearsal and people are coming up with new little things that you've never seen before, my acting teacher would kill us if we broke up, but, in graduate school. But, the reality is, I would do my thing that they would crack up with when they see me do something the first time. Like, what do you guys know about smuggling heroin through your anus? Huh? And, just stuff like that. And they didn't expect me to do it like that. And they're just like on the floor, but I'm playing it seriously. I'm just playing I'm playing a bad guy who thinks I can get something from my son. So I'm going to say, do not come back here without anything up those asses. And I really mean it. But to them, that was funny. Well, their reactions, to me, so sometimes Rob would do something or Charlie would do something and it would be just hilarious. Or Charlie would do something and Rob and I would fall off the table and crack up. And then we do it again without cracking up. And then so that's kind of the way that show is shot, because they do a lot of ad-libbing on the show and they write the characters. They write all the episodes. So they're free and open to changing and adding things as we go along if it's funny. So yes, I don't crack up when I do my lines, but everybody cracks up at each other before we maybe get another take in where they do it the same way and then everybody keeps a straight face. But it's hard sometimes on that show because those guys and Caitlin and Rob and Glenn and Charlie and Danny are so funny. They're so funny that it's just, it's hard to keep a straight face.
I don't know how any of you do it. Danny DeVito is so ridiculous on that show.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I did the show, I had played just a small role. I did a one-liner on Batman Returns and was there for a lot of background scenes. But the guy who hired me just said, they paid me a lot of money to just be hanging around for 13 weeks. A guy that hired me, Max Clevin, just took me into Tim Burton because like 100 stuntmen read that line and he didn't like it. So he brought me in, who was like an actor because they wanted a stuntman for the role. But why did I bring that up? Danny DeVito, he had 4 hours of makeup to get into that penguin costume. Wow. And so I would sit next to him for about 50 minutes every day, for about 4 months. And so I reminded him, I'm sure he probably didn't remember me because I was in makeup. I looked different and the goatee beard and all that. But I reminded him of that. And he said, oh, God, that was a tough job. Yeah, because he had to be in 4 hours of makeup every day. And then it took about 2.5 hours to take it off every day. So it was that was a tough one for him.
And then shooting in it all day, being in the costume for how long.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But he's very funny. He's hilarious, and he's quite a character. But he's a good guy, good businessman. But Charlie and the other guys, and Rob and Glenn and Caitlin, they're just funny all the time. I mean, they're serious sometimes, but they just, it's just a big funny party shooting that show. And it comes across, I think, on this, on every episode. It just comes across. So but that's been a great project to be a part of. I just am very blessed that I got involved with them. We did the first season. I did I think the last episode on the second season, and I just had a one-day job. They just first or second season. Yeah, when Danny got involved in the second season, and then they got another season, and they said, you know what, we like Max Dad's character. Let's write him in again, and then the next season, let's write a two-parter for him this season, and so it was really nice that they added me, and then my son's character Rob, or Max Dad. He a lot of his character development was related to his relationship with his father. So even though I might not have been on screen all the time, they were always referring to me, about being hard or badass or whatever.
Yeah. So we have another few questions here for Always Sunny. Merle Gornick, I think she's a friend of yours from Hawaii.
Yeah.
She would like to know how different was it playing Luther on Always Sunny compared to Crate on Bosch?
Well, they're two completely different characters, and they're two different completely types of shows. I mean, Sunny is a very high-level farcical comedy, and Bosch is a little more based in honest reality. It's a serious show, and the character of Crate and Barrel they show a little more humor occasionally, which is nice to give a break to the audience, to get a little relief out there, and it's fun for us to play, but it's a serious show. So it's two completely different characters. It's just still acting, but it's two completely different types of shows.
Yeah.
But when we're not shooting, the group is just as fun to be around on Bosch, and the joking and the playing with each other and teasing each other and all that. That's kind of the same on Bosch, because we do a lot of that on Bosch. But when we're playing in character, the show is a lot more serious. I mean, it's a great show. I think for 6 years, it's been the #1 watch show on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
From when it started in the first season, and it's still held up through the 6th season. And I hope the final season that comes out shortly will be the same way.
It's a great show. When the pandemic started, I was off of work for 8 weeks, and my girlfriend and I were looking for things to watch, and Bosch was one of those series that we went through. Well, do you want to watch another one? Yeah, let's watch another one. And we got through all 6 seasons, and we're looking forward to the. Yeah,
it really grabs you. It grabs you, and it's intense. And through the first 4 seasons, the trauma that Bosch goes through, Titus Welliver. I mean, God, the job he does is incredible. He carries the show. I mean, everybody's a great actor in that show. I mean, really, there's so many great actors on that show. To the series regulars, to the supporting actors they bring into guest starring actors, and which I'm considered kind of guest starring recurring. But it's just, the trauma he goes through emotionally through the first 4 seasons, with trying to find out who killed his mom, dealing with murder cases, and then all of a sudden, I don't want to give things away for people that haven't seen it, but something happens to another loved one of his. And then, he's dealing with that. And then, it goes through some really heavy emotional stuff, and it's intense. It just grabs you, it really grabs you. Two completely different types of things. So when we're shooting, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it's a completely different character, and I'm playing. So it's designed to be a comedy. So we're just cracking up all the time. And when we're shooting it, we're cracking up because somebody will ad lib and throw something else out that nobody expected, and everybody's on the floor, and then you just, so two complete. I do enjoy comedy. Shooting comedy is fun, all the time. So I do enjoy that. A lot of laughing that goes on, but Bosch is just like this guy. They're just different shows. Bosch is just an incredible show to be involved with, and it's just a whole different. It's like the difference between, I don't know how well everybody knows Shakespeare, but you've got your histories, you've got your tragedies, and you've got your comedies. And Hamlet is a drama tragedy, and it's a difference between acting in Hamlet. Or acting and playing Benedict in Much Ado About Nothing, like I did, or Orlando in As You Like It, or any of the other comedy. It's just, doing comedies is really fun, and there's a lot more laughter, but there's a lot to be said for also making somebody cry and drama when you can hear a pin drop and the audience is just in the palm of your hand. It's just so it's both. They're both equally rewarding.
Awesome. Yeah,
hi, Merle.
Both great shows.
I just have to say hi, Merle. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Pastel Mermaid would like to know, I'm really curious to know how Luther was written to feel towards Mac. It seems like it's different every time.
Well, yeah, that's the way I read it when I did the first episode where I was in jail. Originally, I was going to be somebody that killed 6 people and I was never going to get let out of prison. So they ended up editing that stuff out after we shot the scene so they could bring me back another season and it would be legitimate. So they kind of left everything in to make me more of a drug dealer instead of the 6, somebody who murdered 6 people. Basically, I saw Mac originally as somebody that I really, because I'm not a nice character. There's nobody redeeming on that show anyway, right? So nobody. So I'm just a dangerous scumball who will basically use anybody, including my son. And that's why when he comes in and he first sees me in the episode of the second season, I'm just basically, what do you want? What do you want? I don't give, until I think I can use him for something. And then it's, I'm running a little business in here and I've been thinking of expanding. I'm gonna need some people on the outside, some really badass, tough guys. What do you guys know about smuggling heroin through your anus? So I pretend to be, I want to use him. I don't give a shit about him. That's right. Really the way I played it. But I'm using him, so I'll act like I might be nice because he's so desperately wants to have a relationship with his dad. And what makes it funny is I'm his dad, Luther, and I really don't give a shit, So, and that's where the humor comes from and the sadness too. There's a sadness that comes. So over time, it's kind of continued. And then I made efforts in scenes in other seasons to try to be nice to him, but he didn't know it. Maybe take him to the ball game. He finds out when he thinks I'm out killing people that I actually was going to take him out of state to the ball game. And then all of a sudden he reported me for something and I get taken out to jail because I think I went to another state to buy tickets and broke my parole. So then every time I get involved with him, I get a little madder at him because he keeps putting me back in jail. And then one time he came to jail in another episode trying to keep me from getting out, and he's lying about it. But I taped him, and then I found out that they said they were going to lie to try to keep me from getting out of jail. And that was that thing where I go out, they think I'm trying to kill them for 2 episodes. and so it just kind of goes. And then I kind of said, okay, I'll go to Mexico, and I'm angry at you, but I don't want to. But they thought I was going to kill them for 2 episodes, so they did all this crazy stuff. So it's just kind of gotten progressively worse over time. So I get a little angrier, a little less impatient. And that's where the humor comes from. And then he desperately needs. But the last episode we did in the 14th season, he kind of found himself, and I don't know where it's going to go from here, but he kind of doesn't, he needed my affection, but then all of a sudden he did that dance sequence and then all of a sudden he kind of found himself, being gay and not needing dad's approval, at least for a while. But we'll see. Because when I thought that he's going to have a son, I even said to him, I really don't care about you, but having a son, and he goes, well, I'm your son too. And I go, yeah. So that's where the humor comes from, is like, I think maybe he's just too much of a wuss because I'm a badass. And so I never really, we ran around stealing presents for Christmas and stuff like that when he was a kid, but he never turned into the badass son that I had wanted, And I think that's the way it's played. He desperately needs love from his father because his father is a jerk, obviously, and doesn't really care about him, But then if he has a chance to use him, then he'll pretend he cares about him for a while, right. Until, so that's pretty much how thing progressed over time. But I initially started playing him that way because I had to develop something that was real to make me, why would this guy be such a jerk to his son? So I had to create with the lines, some reason for it underneath. And that's what I created, is that I really don't care about my son. And then that would also enhance the thing that was written for him, is that why he desperately needs to connect with his father, probably because he didn't get much love from his dad, which he didn't.
Right.
And then we just kind of went from there. And then they just kind of add things as seasons went along. And I didn't know. We didn't know if we were going to have a third season or a fourth season or a fifth season.
Right.
So they just kind of kept adding things as they kept getting picked up. And so that's it on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. One last Always Sunny question, and then we'll move on. And I only have a few more after that. We got this question a lot.
Yeah.
And you've done it a few times during the episode, so I don't think that it's anything that anybody does. The question
blinking?
Yeah, the question was, do they do anything to your eyes to stop you from blinking? It just seems like you can not blink for a while.
No, I blink like crazy in real life, seriously, because I people don't know I had I used to do little grunts until I was a teenager, and then blink a lot. It's like I had a mild version of Tourette's, but they didn't really diagnose it when I was young. And then the grunting went away. I used to make those sounds all the time, and teachers would kick me out of class, and then I'd be blinking like crazy. But then, I go through these periods of blinking a lot. But when I'm focused, when I used to play sports, and the ball's coming at the plate, or I'm going to catch the football and go punt it or whatever, or play, I'm a shortstop and waiting for a ground ball, or, a pitch is coming. When I'm focused on something, I don't blink. But the minute I stop focusing on something in real life, I blink. So when I'm in character, when I'm acting, I don't blink so much if I'm focused on what I'm doing. If I'm listening and I'm talking to somebody and I'm doing that, I don't blink a lot. But when my focus just goes a little, off, and I'm just a little more casual on me, and I'm not like really focused in. So that's what I do, is I just focus. They started writing it into the character just because they saw that I just wasn't blinking a lot. And then when I would do those things where I get really angry and the eyes would just pop out like this, and I just like be holding this and, and all that. And then they wrote it into the script that I don't blink. And then I started to having to do longer scenes without blinking. And then it was harder, but you just have to stay focused and make sure when the camera's on you, you don't blink, but I don't think about that. I'm thinking about something else. Because if I think about not blinking, then I'll blink, but it's totally just, it's just focus. I have to keep my eyes really moist. And obviously there are people that go long periods of time without blinking. I'm not one of them, but Luther is. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. All right. Our friend Michael Ortiz, he's our Patreon member. And if anyone wants to sign up for our Patreon, they can go to patreon.com/Deluxe Edition pod. Michael's not able to be here with us tonight, but he wants to know a little more about your time on Cliffhanger.
Oh, that was just an amazing film. And I didn't even have to audition. I was doing Batman Returns, and I walked in and I thought I was going to audition, and Rennie Harlan was sitting there, and he just said hello, and he said, can you do an Austrian accent if you want? And I go, yeah. And he said, okay. And I walked out. We got a call and said, you got the job. And I've had to audition for everything, but for some reason they had heard about some things I did before, and then I fit, category, whatever, as a bad guy. And then I came back and met Stallone, and that was the official hire. But it was a great job. They took all of that out to Cortina d'Ampezzo in the Italian Alps, way up high. And then we climbed or choppered up to different mountaintops, 13,500 feet. And we trained with mountain climbers who all had been climbed Everest, and they assigned one to every actor. And because I was usually furthest away from camera, or second furthest away, which meant when we were climbing, I would have to go farthest down for every shot and then come up as we're coming up. We're doing any climbing scenes or anything like that. But they worked with us for a week before we started shooting for safety, because they would put all the bolts into the ropes and the crevices and the cracks and test everything. And then they kept one mountain climber for each actor, so we would be safe. I got over my fear of heights doing that film. I was completely unafraid of heights after that film. Just because I was focused on, what you focus on. And they said, just never forget where you are.
So going into the movie Cliffhanger, you were afraid of heights?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But, yeah. I didn't do a roller coaster until I was like 17 or something, and then I was still scared to death. Santa Cruz roller coaster. Well, I mean, I think most people are to some degree, but I got that at 36 years old, and my dad had just died, and then I got in the film, and then I'm up, and then all of a sudden, everybody else was like, holy shit, I mean, it's like, they were more than a little concerned, and for some reason, I just got used to it real quick, and then I wasn't scared. I was secure with the things, the ropes and the nylon that was holding us. And I just, from then on, I came back, and every time I go up to a high height or I'm just not afraid of heights anymore. But yeah, it was just a great experience, a great group of guys. We were in the snows, choppering to different mountaintops, or we'd go up the tops of ski slopes, and then we would climb up, or they would chopper big cameras down and have avalanches coming over us. It was wild. It was really up there in the mountains. And then there was 3 months in the mountains, and then 3 months we went to the studios in Rome, Cinecittà, and then they rebuilt sets of the mountains. And so anytime you see the close-ups where we're up in the mountains, that was shot in the studio. But it was just an incredible adventure. I still talk to people who were on the film occasionally. I used to run into John Lithgow, who was the lead bad guy on the film, and I'd be working on Warner Brothers or doing this. I remember when he had Third Rock from the Sun, and I'd run into him all the time on the lot, and I just look at him and I go, was that the most incredible film that we did at Cliffhanger? And he just goes, still to this day, that never had an experience like that. It was the most amazing adventure. It really was amazing. And Stallone had said it during the audition. He said, wait until you get there. He said, this is going to be the adventure of your life. And it really was. It was amazing to be a part of that. Yeah.
That's
amazing
awesome.
Movie. That's great.
Yeah, I just recently watched it. Like I said, I've been going down the Gregory Scott Cummins rabbit hole, and that was one of the ones. That was one of the ones I was actually able to watch on the flight. It was I felt okay watching that on a plane.
And that was my first kind of supporting lead, because it wasn't just supporting. They actually had my name up front in the film. And it was a big budget film that I actually got credits up front in a big budget A-grade film. At the time, it was an A-grade big budget action. They spent more on that film at the time, $105 million, than any film that had been done previously. But again, that was in 1992 that we shot it. Actually, 93, spring of 93. And it came out spring of 92. And then it came out May of 93. So that's, now they're spending way more than $105 million on films. But at that time, that was a lot of money. Yeah. A lot of money, that was just great.
I have another question here of my own that I forgot about. The movie Switchback.
Yes.
Great movie.
What happened
what happened?
Well,
basically, why did it not make? Why do you think it didn't make money? Was it not distributed right, or?
I don't know. The same people produced that, I think, who produced with Tab, who directed Tab Murphy, who directed Laughs the Dogmen and wrote Gorillas in the Mist, and did writes for a lot of stuff for Disney over the years. But that film, I don't know. I don't know if it's because they just gave it a very limited release in theaters. I mean, you got Dennis Quaid and Danny Glover. I mean, that should be enough. Yeah, that should be enough to draw an audience. Yeah. And it was definitely a dark film. It was a thriller film, you know, and my role was just 2 scenes, but they were kind of memorable. You know, they were with Danny. Sure. And but the film was about Dennis Quaid's character was chasing this serial killer. Yeah. Well, I'm giving it away, but it turns out to be Danny Glover. You know, I thought it was good.
I thought it was great.
You know, but I don't know. I don't know why it didn't play in theater longer. I don't know. I know
you're not in control of any of that stuff, but
yeah, you know, but you just never know. I mean, you just, you know, sometimes a film comes out and then maybe they didn't get enough people come and see it for a period of time, and then they just stopped airing and then moved it to video or TV. I think video first, and they make money on that, and then they make money when it goes to TV, and then they show it in other countries abroad too, so they make money abroad. So, you know, they called Cliffhanger a failure because it only made $300 million in a year, or in less than a year in the U.S. But you know, they spent $105 million, and then a lot of money advertising. But they don't count that it made $1.2 billion worldwide in just theatrical release. Right. Worldwide in theaters, and then you add the years of residuals, you know, payments for video for it going to cable stations, Showtime, Cinemax, HBO, and then it goes to video rental, and then it goes to TV. So it's got a long shelf life. They make a lot of money off those films if they're successful. But I know the people for Switchback made money. It didn't air that long in theaters, you know, I guess. But I think a lot of people have seen it over the years because it did air on all the cable stations, a decent amount, and it aired on, you know, the video rentals and TV. But, you know.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go.
I think it would have done much. I think it would have done much better if my role were much larger.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of my incredible good looks, you know, it would have attracted a lot more women, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, but, you know, I told Stallone in Cliffhanger, I joke constantly about it because I've been joking about the good looking thing all my career. So that's my little running joke with people, but it's not a joke. It's serious. But I said I died 2/3 of the way through the movie or 3/4 of the way through the movie or something like that. And I kept saying during that scene, we take 3 days to shoot the fighting down the ice and snow. And I'm on the bottom and fighting, and he's on the top, and he's on the bottom, and I'm on top. And I kept saying, you know, this is such a mistake. I said, you know, the minute I die and fall over this gully in the movie, I said, you know, you're good. All the women are just going to leave the theaters. I said, I'm saying this to Stallone now. I said, you don't think they're going to stay to the end just because of you, do you? I said, it's a mistake. You should have me die towards the end of the movie. It's a mistake, you know, but, you know.
It's unfortunate because every movie that you're in, I don't know the ending of them because you die. And then I just stopped watching. So,
well, yeah, no, that was definitely worth it to stay to the end. But that was my little running joke that came out of my making a joke about Switchback being on it longer. But no, that's I don't know. But I thought it was a good film. I was proud to be in it. You know?
Great movie. You know? All right, one last question, and I'm not going to go as dark as Bill did with his final question, being on the deathbed, but I would like to know, what are you most proud of in your career that you would want people to go back and see that maybe they haven't seen yet?
Well, I don't know what everybody has seen and what they haven't seen, but I have to say my film career, because you can't go back and watch things I did in theater, obviously. There were things in theater that I wish a lot of people saw that I was very proud of. But it's got to be Bosch, you know, and not everybody's seen Bosch. If you haven't seen Bosch, you just got to see it. I'm not one of the series regulars, but me and my partner, Troy Evans, plays Beryl. So Crate and Beryl, we're 2 characters in it that are supporting, that are recurring. And we added, a little lightness to some of the scenes, but then we get serious in other seasons, and then we're definitely, tough, long-time detectives, old school, long-time detectives. And I just think it's just the greatest project I've been involved with in terms of, that I've worked on for a longer period of time. I mean, I obviously Cliffhanger's good, Last of the Dogmen's good, but my roles are smaller in those. And, this is 7 seasons coming up on Bosch. And I just think it's just such a high quality project from beginning to end with so many great actors. And the show is so good. And Titus, who carries us all, is incredible on it. And, I get to work with Troy Evans as my partner, and that has been just a great blessing to me. It reminds me of the old theater days, only I've got to do it for 7 years, where I just really work closely with somebody, get to know them well. And Troy is just a joy to work with, and he's a joy as a person, and we just get along. I just, the show, the relationship with all the people in the show, and the writers and the producers and everybody. It's just I'd probably say that's the project I'm most proud of to date. We'll see what happens in the future, but that's say, and I'd say watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'd say watch Cliffhanger, watch Last of the Dogmen, that kind of thing too. But there's a lot of TV shows that you don't see anymore because they're not rerun. That I've had episodes in where I played bad guys that I was proud of, this or that. But as far as just an overall piece of work on one project, definitely it has to be Bosch. It has to be that, and because it's a body of work that I was able to do on the show, to be part of, and it's just a great show. Everybody, if you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. The first season will hook you, and then each season will hook you more and hook you more and hook you more. It just gets better and better every year. I mean, it's just,
that's the truth. I can attest to that. We did it.
Yeah. It's kind of that way. And I have some favorite shows that I haven't been in, but Bosch is now up there in my favorite shows. I happen to be on it, but I'm a fan of the show too.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I love Homeland. I love The Sopranos. I loved 24 when it was on. Bosch is right up there with all of those, to me. And those are some of and Breaking Bad, there are just some shows that are special, and I think Bosch is in the category with those,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Gregory, This has been fantastic, man.
I appreciate it. You guys are great. One
other question we got a lot of, and I actually have this question as well. Is there a place where people can send their DVDs, such as Blood Games, to have you autograph them?
Oh, well, I can give out my mailing address.
Or could they contact you through your website?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to give them. Yes, I have www.GregoryScottCummins, GregoryScottCummins.com, GregoryScottCummins.com. And I've got demo reels up there, on-set photos, resumes, pictures, on-set, basically a lot of stuff. And I communicate with people on that. Plus I have an email off that, but which is gsc@GregoryScottCummins.com. But I can just tell you right now, if you want to get something autographed, just mail it with a self-addressed stamped envelope or package to my mailing address. And I don't mind giving it out online. It's should I give my address out online?
I was going to say, you are one brave man to do that.
Well, it's not my home address. It's a mailing address.
Then it's okay.
I don't mind people mailing stuff to my mailing address. And if they have a request or something, just put it in a self-addressed stamped envelope. If you want a picture, put a request in there and give me a self-addressed stamped envelope. If you want a DVD, want to send me something to return it to you so I don't have to pay for shipping. Because I do send a lot of stuff like that out, but it adds up. I do have headshots and lithographs here to give to people and sign to people as well if they don't have one that they can't download online or whatever. I have my official website where you can download any photos you want, and I can sign any of them. Just send it with a self-addressed stamped envelope or package or whatever, and I'll sign it. And if you want to tell me what to say, I can say that, or I can just make something up, so and it depends on what they might like, a character that I played. I'll put something in character or whatever.
That's awesome, man.
I like communicating with the fans because I'm not a famous huge movie star. I'm just a blue collar actor. So for me, I have a Facebook page, and I enjoy communicating with fans, people that are appreciative. It's flattering to me. If I were up on a higher level, I would have hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of followers, and that would, then you can't communicate with everybody when you have that people. So then they have to hire people to help you with communicating with people from the public. But I'm not at that level. So, mail me.
Look, Greg, you may not be the most famous, but
no,
best looking.
Thank you.
In Hollywood.
Thank you. When we finish this, you give me a call on your phone, text me, and I will mail you a check, because basically to say that on the air, I need to give you about $20 or $30. Every time somebody says I'm good looking, I'll slip you a little money on the side.
Look, I can do this every hour if that's
Or just let's do a running tab. We'll just do a running tab. And
deal. All right.
That could be our gimmick in the beginning of every show. Brought to you by the best looking man in Hollywood, Gregory Scott Cummins.
Exactly. Because I could basically fund you by you saying how good looking I am a whole bunch of times. Yes.
You just gave us your address, so I know where to send the invoice.
Exactly.
You can be expecting a Blood Games DVD very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greg, this has been awesome, man. And we're actually, we've been going quite a while. We might cut this into 2 parts if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
Give me a 2-parter.
Yeah. And
this has been great, man.
Hey, you guys are wonderful. I looked at a whole bunch of stuff before we did the interview here. You guys are great. You're hilarious. You're fun, and incredibly good looking too. Not on my level, but close.
Thank you.
And that's the most important thing. So I was looking forward to this interview because I knew you guys would be fun. So
thank you, man. Yeah, this was fun, man.
And I wish you the best of luck and continued success. You guys are really moving along. You're getting a lot of good people and stuff and interviews. And I just see you guys just going with this. So
that's wonderful to hear.
And I just had a fun time. It was like a party being here. I don't drink alcohol anymore, so I'm going with my Gatorade. But otherwise, this is like a party.
Yeah.
Fellas, I need to step out. I got a hot meal.
Okay,
all right, brother.
I got you.
All right.
Thank you so much. I didn't mean to end the party, but
no. We had
East
to end
Coast. I'm
sometime.
starving.
And it's late for you guys too. So you guys take care. We'll stay in touch.
That'd be great.
I had fun.
Thank you, Greg. Means the world to us, buddy.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate it. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.